Hello there! I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to the Smallville Retrospective. I'm Scotty. You're not. I said that right. I'm a little confused. Okay, so we're on season 8, episode 18? 18! Eternal. So it's called Eternal. Should be called Retcon, because that's all it does is retcon shit. Yes. Then we get backstory. Retconning. Fort Davis and the day of the meteor shower, and this episode was good. Written by James Marshall, so you know it's going to be good, but my issues is in the retconning. They do their best to try to make sure they tie every little bow, every little thing in a bow, and try to make it work to where every little thing, but there's just So, we start off in the Luthor mansion. Tess is looking at drawing a spaceship in a book, the Veritas book. In 1989, meteor shower. So we get flashbacks, which is just, archive footage. Jonathan and Martha driving a truck, the meteor hits, happens. And he goes looking for Lex, and he finds him in the middle of the field, but it's new footage, or at least of Lex, because it's a different actor. It's not the actor from the pilot. It's the new young Lex actor that they've used before, and he's in the field because they're gonna use him again. Like, they must be using him again in this episode somehow. I don't know where. It wouldn't make sense to use him, and it still doesn't make sense. We'll get there. And then they find, Jonathan and Martha find Clark. It's the same shop before. And then there is the ship. Next to the ship is an egg, which oozes a liquid which turns into a young boy who we know is Davis. And I'm guessing from this, especially from the age of the boy, that Davis is older than Clark as well. I'm assuming he's at the same age as Lex, who's older than Clark. Yes, and this is when Kless is like, Tess, not Kless, I fused Clark and Tess. Tess is like, there was another boy. Yes. And at this point, I'm thinking, okay, this retcon is fine. So I'm thinking, why did no one else see the egg by the thing, or find him by the ship? We'll get to it. Opening credits, and then we get Clark visiting Tess at Daily Planet, and he wants to put an article about the rash of missing person cases. So they're murders, but I guess because Davis is burying in the bodies or disposing of the bodies, it's missing persons. And so, but he thinks there's similarities between the disappearances, but people are ignoring them. And I like how she's like gaslighting him, and he's like, "You're trying to bury this." She's like, "Oh, no. You're sweeping this under the rug." Because as I remembered, Yimmy gave her proof that Davis is murdering people. And then she calls out Clark being the one who constantly lies and not her. She's known him for all of 5 minutes. How would she know? She's known him for a cup of coffee. How would she know? I guess if she's going from Lex's side of things. I guess. Meanwhile, about the town, Davis is cooking dinner. It starts out with him crying, and then she's like, "Oh, a man who cries is like a man who's cutting onions. He's cutting onions," and she's like, "I'm surprised you know how to cook." He goes, "Well, the one thing that they taught us at the orphanage where I grew up was mac and cheese." And I went, "The hell does an onion have to do with mac and cheese? Where in mac and cheese do you use an onion? Garlic maybe, but an onion?" And she was recovering data on his cell phone. I don't understand. I don't know, it's something I missed with his phone. She said something about he went to grab it and it erased everything. I don't know. He asked her if you're from Jimmy, and she said that he sent a message with a bunch of expletives that some were bleeped out, some weren't, apparently. She thought they were friends, but now there's something else beneath the surface, I guess. Davis cuts his finger. But after she wipes the blood away, there's no cut. So she's like, looks suspicious. This is when Clark comes in. He doesn't knock, he just walks in through the door. To someone else's apartment, a woman's apartment. Clark! What, were you raised in a barn? Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. I'm trying to get this. Yeah, it's better. Let me set it a little bit. So Clark says she wants help, or says he wants help on the story, and he sees Chloe holding Davis's hand, and Davis like, you know what, I gotta go. We'll have dinner again some other time. He leaves, starts breathing hard, doubles over, supposedly in pain. Later that night, Davis is in the muddy field with a bloody shovel. I didn't realize that was Davis until a little bit later. He gets into his care, kisses the crucifix hanging from the mirror that he stole from the old lady he killed, the nun or whatever. He's a call on his cell phone. It's Tess, standing in front of the car, and she asks about, is there a prayer for dismembering a body? And then presses a button, which makes the car explode and go boom. I think I get it working, and it messed up. Meanwhile, back at the Talon apartment, Buck and Chloe going through missing person cases, and she's like, you know, you stare hard enough, my head would be on fire. My hair should be on fire. He's like, I don't know about Davis, because he believes some of what Jimmy was saying. So, and he thinks that Chloe's moving on too fast from Jimmy. He's like, Davis and I are friends, and it was just dinner. Dinner with another man who's not your husband. Kind of suspicious that Chloe, I'm just saying. But then she finds news that a car matching Davis's license plate was found burned out and abandoned. Davis wakes up covered in bloody bandages, which makes no fucking sense. I'm sorry. This man stabbed himself in the chest and the blade went everywhere. But he's got scars? He's bloodied, bandages, he's got marks on him. He shouldn't. Because the whole thing where he was stabbed and he did this meant he was now invincible. But apparently the writers forgot that, so now he's bloody and thing. Yeah. She apologizes. She says, I didn't expect you to end like this. I was actually trying to kill you. But he's badly injured, which again makes no sense because he should be invulnerable. She says she knows about the killing spree, and she admires his selection because they're all criminals. She has the book in her hands and explains she looked into his background. She thought she reached a dead end until she found Lionel Luther's journal, which is what that is. It's about a boy. And it has nothing to do with Hugh Grant. It came down the very same day the meteor shower happened, but the boy didn't come down alone. Flashback. Davis we get some connection there. Davis, he has sentience now, and he runs behind some burnt corn stalks or something. Jonathan, Martha, and Clark, seconds later, comes through. They find the ship. He runs off. And some soldiers show up and see him. Apparently they were sent there by Lionel. Where did they come from? Lionel was there alone with Lex and his choppa. Why were there Luther Corp security running around the cornfields? It makes no sense. But he's trapped and taken to the mansion. And then a young Lex Luthor is chasing his pet bird. He overhears Davis's voice, and this is the biggest retcon and headache ever. Apparently, when they were children, a young Lex Luthor and a young Davis Bloom played at the mansion. Because they're both like Warrior Angel, even though he doesn't really know what it is. He has a toy. But anyway, the man brought him there a few days ago, and he put needles in him. And he doesn't know his own name, so And when they cut back to them, his wounds are already healing. But he shouldn't have had any wounds to begin with. Lionel said a search party for the Traveler. He didn't realize that there were two boys that fell to Earth that day, the Traveler and Davis. Chloe and Clark arrived at the field with Davis' cars being towed away. The driver says no body was found and police believe the truck was abandoned. It's a truck? It was a car. It just says car. There's a car or a truck. Clark says this is the field where his ship landed. X-rays the field and finds dozens of buried corpses. He's been burying it in the same field where the ship landed. Mm-hmm. Davis wakes up. He's now fully recovered and he walks to the mansion, discovering old memories of swordplay with Lex. In the flashbacks, Davis asks about a little box on the desk in the library. Alexander supplies it's made of St. George's armor and that he slayed dragons. Alexander shows a bit of his true nature and commands that he's now St. George and Davis is the dragon, the beast, which wants to destroy the world, and Alexander is the only one that can save it. Alexander opens up the box, which is filled with meteor rocks. Davis suddenly begins to scream in pain. Not realizing what actually happened, Lex closes the box and comforts Davis. So he's affected by meteor rocks, which is from the comics. Doomsday is affected by meteor rocks. Because that leads to the ending where, they use that to kill Doomsday, but he ends up killing Superman in the process. Remember that's how Doomsday is supposed to be defeated, because they don't do that in the show. And I don't know if I said this on camera, but that could be a decent idea. Have a cliffhanger at the end of this season where, oh no, he's dead, what do you do? And then you see what the cliffhanger for the villain is, and you go, oh no, what now? But no. We'll get to it. That's part of my rant at the end of this season, where it's just like, ugh. Back in the present, Dave remembers his reaction to meteor rocks and tries to leave. Tess shows up and starts quoting parts from the Bible, and this is... They're trying so hard to make her like Lex, or like Rhino, where she's quoting Bible verses, she's quoting stuff like that. It just doesn't work. She's not like them, technically. So, no. But she tells Dave there's a savior whom he must betray. And in this backstory, she starts talking about the Kawachi caves as well. So am I to believe that even though they hinted heavily that Naman and Sagith were supposed to be Clark and Lex, they are now telling us that this whole time Sagith was Davis. I never caught that before. Is that what they're supposed to be saying? Because it's the description is someone who's a friend who will betray Naman. So, I guess Davis was technically an acquaintance of his. They weren't really friends. He was more friends with Chloe than anything. I don't know. His eyes turn red. She implies that Clark and he are destined to kill each other. His eyes turn red, and he hits Tess so hard she flies across the room. Yes. Clark and Chloe show up at the plant at the DP. Arguing about how Chloe was wrong to trust Davis. She says she was in denial and couldn't believe that Davis was really a serial killer, which Jamie warned him about. She realized that Davis' victims were all criminals and wonders if he was some sort of vigilante mission. Clark says that Davis would be stupid enough to bend his car next to field for evidence and thinks somebody took him. Chloe says that somebody has checked Davis' past before her, and that he should question Tess. Clark comes to Tess's hospital room, and she tells him that she has Lionel's journal, and that he wanted to possess the Traveler, which is why he was in Smallville on the day of the meteor shower, which he already freaking knows. The writers forgot that. He already knew that. Why is she telling him again? She also implies that Lex and Lionel had the whole idea of the Kawachi caves wrong. This is where it is. She talks about the painting of the two-headed creature, Naman and Sagith, and how Lionel and Lex thought they were trying to become what he had as the Traveler. This is where it is. Not realizing there was another boy who came to Earth, and that Clark was destined to be his ultimate nemesis. So yeah, they're saying that this whole time, Davis, who was never mentioned before, never seen before, and for all intents and purposes didn't exist, was Sekith the whole time. Suspenders of disbelief, people! Clark acts like he doesn't believe Tessa's story, and he has to, he actually, you have to drop this whole thing, Tess said that Lionel took Davis to the boys' test didn't match what they expected of the Traveler. After 5 days, Lionel pushed Davis onto the street. And I thought that was onto the streets, and then he's abandoned. He put him in an orphanage, but no. After getting a phone call from Martha Kent asking for help with an adoption, wrong. It was Jonathan Kent who called him, not Martha. Why can't the writers get it? It was Jonathan that went to him because Jonathan was the one he said he owed a favor to. Damn writers. So lower my heart rate, not racing it anyway. And Tess accuses Clark of being the reason for Davis being abandoned. Chloe is at the foundation. Yes, I'm not going to cut. They keep saying IS, but I'm not going to say that way. That foundation. Researching the murders, waiting for Clark to return. She thinks that Clark is coming, but it's Davis. She freaks out. As she tries to run, he grabs her, forces her to listen to him. Davis confesses he's in love with her and wants her to help him. He's like, if you care for me, please help. She refuses until Davis says he wants her to help him die. Clark shows up at the foundation, realizes that something has happened, despite the fact that there was no physical thing other than him grabbing her. Everything's turned over. I don't understand this, but okay. And on the computer screen is a diagram of Dr. Grohl's lab, so Clark super speed's there. Convenient. At the lab, Davis is not on the slab, but he's in a cell. And in the cell is a liquid meteor rock. Davis is in there in a cage and trying to convince Chloe to pull the lever. She can't bring herself to do it, but as she's about to, Clark stops her. Why? Begs Davis not to kill himself and wanting to give Davis a second chance because Clark now feels guilty about Davis' past. This will be Clark's ultimate undoing. And there's been a subtle hinting, not so subtle hinting or whatever, about how he chooses to save human lives rather than end them. He told the Legion that killing is wrong. He's trying to save human lives. I get that. But I'm with Davis on this one. Let him die. You let him die, your problems are over. And you can relax with a cup of coffee. You don't need, this dude's supposed to be the ultimate destroyer. Someone who you will fight. He's killed a bunch of people. Just let him die. And Davis says that people will always return to their true nature, and it's best for him to die because he was sent to kill Clark. Davis begins to transform. His eyes turn red. He lunges towards Clark. Chloe hits the switch. Pulls the lever. Wrong lever. Why do we even still have that lever? And he's covered in liquid meteor rock. What a dick move, though. Chloe's trying to protect Clark, but she hits the thing, and Clark immediately goes, ugh, because the meteor rock comes down. So it's like, I know she didn't have time to think, but, she does pull him away from it, I guess. But we get a flashback to him literally being dropped off in the street by one of Lionel's workers. He didn't drop off an orphanage, just in the streets. Wow. And, but then this is where it lost me. He gets mad at the worker, transforms, and kills the worker. Bullshit. If he was able to transform at that age, then why isn't that? I guess he did say he had blackouts before, but I thought it was more recent that he was having the blackouts and not his entire life, right? Also, if Lionel got a report saying that the guy that dropped off this kid he said was worth nothing was somehow killed, mauled by something, he'd be like, huh, wait a minute, maybe I misjudged. Find that kid. So I call it bullshit. Okay? We cut back to the thing. In tears, Chloe watches Davis die, and she rushes to the tank. Puts her hand on the glass. Davis puts his hand against hers. As he slowly stops breathing, Clark watches. Seems to feel guilty that there was something between them. That night, Clark goes to Chloe's apartment. She's all cut up with a book and a blanket. See how she is. She's quiet, and he's like, I'm fine. I've had better days, is what she says. Clark spoke to Oliver Queen, who has disposed of Davis's body and taken charge of the cover-up, explained Davis's disappearance. Chloe feels guilty about what happens, but believes she did to protect Clark and his destiny as a world protector. Clark then looks at the picture of the two-headed creature from the Kawachi Caves, remarking that he didn't have to fight the Ultimate Destroyer very hard. He throws the photograph into the fire. Into the fire! Clark states he always had a nightmare about never having been adopted. Points out that Clark's nightmare was Davis's reality. He does also say, I always wonder what it'd be like if the Luthers... He says that to Davis. I always wonder what it'd be like if the Luthers found me. But here's the thing. It wouldn't have been just like Davis because they would have realized he has the powers. And it would have been different. And I'm not wrong, because wait till season 9 or 10, whichever one it is. I think it's 9. One of them. We'll find out. In the Baron, haven't said that in a while, Tess shows up. She talks about Clark saving people and reveals she knows a bit more. Clark thinks she has Lucy's obsession and said he will never be the man she thinks he is. Tess says that Clark will never fulfill his destiny until he's met his greatest enemy. Clark says that Tess doesn't know anything about his life. Tess doesn't know Clark. Tess says that he knows that he's lying and says that she will wait for Clark to come to her. As she leaves the Baron, Tess calls him Kal-El. Oh, back at the mansion. Tess unlocks a cupboard, and there's no Native Americans in there, or cowboys, or Darth Vaders, or dinosaurs, or anything. She takes on the suitcase, and in the suitcase is the orb from the end of season 7. And I remember when I first watched this, I went, what's that? Because while I did watch the season 7 finale, I guess I didn't fully understand what that was. That was the orb that Lex had. Chloe goes home, is going home, and she hears a noise down the town in the basement, and she finds Davis alive and well. As Fiora had told him, what kills him makes him stronger, so Davis says Meteor Rocks now made him invincible. No, that's Bizarro that's immune to Meteor Rocks, not him. But again, they're going to a different ending than what Doomsday would be, because you can't kill off your main character except for, spoiler alert, Superman doesn't actually die in the death of Superman. He's in the fortress, and that's where he gets the black suit that helps him get his strength back. I did a review for Superman Doomsday. You remember? I know how that works. I need to do a better one though. Chloe then realizes Clark is again in danger and Davis will try to kill him, but Davis states there's something about Chloe that calms her down and asks if she will stay with him. At a moment's thought, Chloe goes back up the stairs, throws the door, and locks the bolt. End of the episode. Yeah. So, she's stupid. I get it. If it's going to protect the cleric, then yeah, but... So I think this is better. I'll give it a 3.5. I think it works. You know what I mean when I say 3.5. I don't have to say Superman logos every time. 3.5. I think it works. So, a lot of retconning. I can't believe 2 of the retcons, okay? I can't believe that young Lex and young Davis played together as kids. Because, like, Lex seems to have knows all his memories, and be like, there was a strange boy that was in my house and then disappeared after a couple days, right? And the other one is, well, the Martha, it was Jonathan that asked for, I can't believe the Namansagi thing. That this whole time it was supposed to be Davis. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Because how many times have we had that retcon? Oh, it's Lex, or it might be Lionel, or no, it's that there'll be two Lexes. No, maybe it's Bizarro. No, it maybe Bizarro wasn't even anything, but like when Lex did the split thing, they looked at that picture as if that meant something. I don't know. It's just there's too much retconning in this episode. It gives me a headache. As Rita Repulsa says, I have such a headache. Anyway, what are your thoughts on this episode? Leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scott, and I'll see you in the next one.